Alrighty, welcome guys. Today we have a very interesting conversation ahead of us because we have one of the very first founders and supporters of DeFi here with us, Scott. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, just a quick background for those joining in that might not know about QiDao and what we do. We're a stablecoin protocol on Polygon, and what we allow people to do is basically take their tokens and mint stablecoins from those tokens. So you can essentially use your tokens without spending them. But moving more into Scott, I think it'd be interesting for us and for the audience to first get a glimpse at your story and your story coming into crypto.
Yeah, I had I guess about an 11-year traditional finance trading career. Started like on the floor of an options exchange in Chicago, working for Susquehanna International Group. And then kind of late 2016, early 2017, I just randomly found the Augur project, which kind of led me down the Ethereum rabbit hole. And then, like 3 months later, I was splitting my time part-time crypto, Ethereum focused trading and traditional finance. And then 6 weeks after that, canceled my Bloomberg terminal and went to the crypto space full time. Started off focusing on like ICOs and perpetual swaps, and then 3-4 months after that, started kind of going more and more down like the building rabbit hole. Yeah.
So what was that like point? What was the point that you said, you know what, F this, I'm moving over completely?
Well, one of the first things I did was the Melonport ICO, and it seemed like a really cool project. And they posted some pretty clear instructions on how to participate in the ICO, and it turned out to be an extremely oversubscribed ICO. But if you just followed the explicit instructions, you did fine. And so like it sort of got a sense for like there was like a lot happening in the space, and there's also a lot of opportunity in the space. And so kind of a combination of that, and then like at that time, BitMEX funding was like over 1% a day. A lot of the times, whether long or short. And so I don't know, it just seemed like a much more interesting environment, but then also like seemed like a lot of like financial opportunity too. So it kind of made the decision pretty easy.
Nice, yeah, and it's probably very different from now, right? Like today, if you want to learn about DeFi, it's still a little bit elusive, right, to the masses, but there's just so much content out there, so many services for people to like get involved.
Yeah.
How was that, I guess, like on ramping from that perspective?
I don't know. It was really fun. I mean, DeFi used to be a lot simpler in that they're like now it's like every project is like either has a new primitive, a new design on an existing primitive, or it's like a few different primitives stacked together. And so if you're like thinking about DeFi pre-farming, kind of like when DeFi Pulse launched, it was more just like tracking the projects, and from like a speculative standpoint, the tokens associated with them. And then kind of like last spring, when like liquidity mining started, things got a lot more interesting pretty quickly, with kind of projects wanting to distribute ownership in the protocols through the community. But it was still like you could know everything that was going on. But now it's just so crazy. Like no one has a complete picture. It's kind of cool.
Right. Yeah, especially Polygon. Like I feel like every day there's like 5 new projects coming on. Not all of them are the same. Sometimes you get a little bit of
varying quality. But yeah, like it's hard to like keep track of just Polygon, like much less all of the other chains that are like doing cool stuff right now. And so I think it's like, I know it's just like the ecosystem's like expanding like very quickly right now.
Yeah. What got you into like other chains or kind of diving into other chains?
I mean, I've always sort of, I've never really been much for maximalism. I think, but what I have done is I've always focused on like where there were real users and where there were real things being built. And for a long time, if you weren't like, obviously there are some great projects that have taken 2 or 3 years to build. Like if you look at Polkadot, like there's a lot happening there now, but it didn't really exist for most of the history of Polkadot just because they hadn't shipped yet. And so I've always focused on things that were like already shipped and already had users. And so for the longest time, that was just Ethereum. But now you're kind of seeing like the Ethereum ecosystem really, like I'd say Polygon is like a side chain for Ethereum. But you're also seeing things that like aren't as closely connected to Ethereum cropping up too, and things that don't even run the EVM. So I don't know. I just go where there are users and go where there's like real things being built.
Yeah, I think that's something we can definitely agree with here. There's a lot of networks coming up, but not all of them have the support that you see kind of like in Polygon, right?
Yeah.
But yes,
I'm a pretty big Polygon fan.
Oh yeah, me
Like
too, man.
doing
I'm
things
a
well.
big Sandeep fan, so
Yeah.
I think we all are. Yeah, the fact they can do so much.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You think there's hundreds of them, but not really.
No, exactly. I think later on in the conversation, we'll take a real deep dive into Polygon and the network. But you, sir, have done so many different things. You're involved with so many different projects: DeFi Pulse, Slingshot, many others.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit to those? For those who do not know what DeFi Pulse is, what is DeFi Pulse? What do you?
Yeah. So before we launched DeFi Pulse, we invented a metric called total value locked. We kind of worked on it because at that time, there were like a lot of DApp tracking, and it was focused a lot on gaming. And the leaderboards for those were very easy to manipulate because you had like kind of like high throughput, low decentralization chains with very low transaction costs. It was very cheap to create many false accounts to rise up like user count and transaction count based leaderboards. And so we wanted a metric for DeFi that was nothing is like manipulation like immune, but you can make it expensive to manipulate and makes it more Sybil resistant. And so we thought total value locked, because you have to actually either you have to make people get value from putting the capital in your protocol, or you have to pay a lot of money to have people put value in your protocol that's like not doing anything for them. And so like I think the reason why TVL kind of became kind of the gold standard metric for DeFi isn't because it like is the KPI that tracks each project's like their personal KPI, but it's the one that's hardest to fake. And so it's like kind of imperfect at doing everything, but it's just good at being authentic. As long as like you're calculating it properly and not cheating. Which some people
calculating it properly and not cheating. As the grandfather or the godfather of TVL, what is the proper way of calculating?
So it's assets that are like being put to work. So like, I could make Scott coin, and then I could make Scott coin staking contract, and then I could make a pool too for Scott coin where like, buy $20 of it, each Scott coin is worth $1,000, and then print 1 trillion Scott coins and put them in a staking contract. And now I just like arrived at $1 quadrillion of TVL. not talking about anyone that's done this super recently and tried to call me out on Twitter after they did it, but it's sort of like it's sort of like completely defeats the purpose. And so like it's important to draw a distinction between like minting a bunch of your own tokens and putting it in like a governance contract, or you're just including your own token in your protocol. Like the UniEth pool counts towards Uniswap's TVL, but if there was sort of a governance locking for their DAO for like governance rewards, if they put a protocol fee in there, that would not count towards their TVL because it's like assets doing economic work.
Right.
It's kind of
what about like if like a project raises money, like not in the token that of the DAO, like I don't know, USDC for example, does that count as total value locked?
So like protocol controlled value is kind of like an interesting question. We plan to actually be breaking out protocol controlled value as like a separate category in the future. If the protocol controlled value is like a treasury, right, that's just like being spent down or granted, it's not. If the protocol controlled value is doing like actual work in the protocol, then it can be.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Now,
Oh yeah, go for it, Ben.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit about your motivation for starting DeFi Pulse, as well as Slingshot, right? The other very cool project that we've been following from you.
Which we'll get into.
Yeah. I mean, DeFi Pulse, it was really just like MakerDAO was catching like serious. They achieved product market fit and were like kind of transitioning from like traction to growth. And a lot of people didn't realize it, and they didn't like, it wasn't obvious to people why putting up ETH to borrow DAI would have like be something that was in high demand. And so we kind of wanted a way for people to understand that and understand that narrative and be able to track what was really happening. And so at that point in time, we waited until we found there's about 10 projects we could list, which we thought was enough to like start a leaderboard. And so it just seemed like a good time to like kind of get that story out there.
Cool. What else? So okay, you've got the leaderboard. Dive into some of the other things that DeFi Pulse does, as well as how do y'all make money?
Well, so kind of like our flagship product, I'd say right now, is the DeFi Pulse Index, which we kind of like use kind of what we've learned doing TVL, combined with like a methodology to kind of separate out tokens that like you'd be like comfortable holding. And it's not just for quality. Obviously, there are some things that kind of address quality, but I'd say there's other like high quality projects with serious traction that aren't in DeFi Pulse Index because the tokens may be kind of like hard to hold in a set. And like one example of that, like you see all the kind of the curve locking wars. They have a very active governance process, and if you have curve like Convex and Yearn kind of duking it out right now, it makes sense to like be using that curve within the DAO. And so that kind of makes it a bad fit for DeFi Pulse Index, which has has some constraints about like immediate availability of the tokens, and curve governance, because they want a lot of alignment with curve holders. That's not really a great fit for an index, in our opinion. And so we sort of like try to separate out what is holdable, what's not holdable, and different things, and just kind of create this passive index based on like set rules. And so, yeah, Index Coop is currently distributes a product called the DPI token based on that. And they've also created products for a couple of our other indexes, which like is an ETH, like the flexible leverage index, which is like a 2x ETH product. We're hoping to bring to Polygon soon. But
yeah, we have a user asking about that. If you have any cross-chain plans for that.
soon TM. Yeah, we're trying to the index scoop is we're trying to figure out our plan for getting all the Coop's products active and liquid on Polygon.
Perfect. Wow. Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about DeFi Pulse. There's another cool thing you're working on right now. It's a Slingshot. Made a big wave on Polygon. A lot of us use it because slick design, very good pricing. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is and what you guys are planning?
Yeah, so Slingshot, it's kind of like a platform for decentralized trading. Like one of the main features is kind of like the algo that's aggregating all the liquidity on Polygon, both public and some private, and kind of also if you make like a big trade on Slingshot and like check out the transactions, a lot of times you'll get like a ton of order splitting. We're really focused on Polygon, and so our algo is kind of designed for like the low gas environment on Polygon, rather than trying to support every different chain at the same time. Then the other kind of cool stuff is there's like a live block by block charting, which is pretty cool. And there's kind of like there's also a live tape that's all sort of like in-house, built by our engineering team. So it's sort of like a analytics platform, kind of mixed with the swapping. And then we also have like kind of a really user first perspective. And so maybe you've like some people listening to this probably are aware of like that there are occasionally kind of hidden fees. And like if a price gets better after you send a trade, one of the larger DEX aggregators, they'll keep all the positive slippage. So if you want to buy something for $100 and the price goes down to $99, they'll still buy it for $99, but just give it to you for $100 and keep that dollar. On Slingshot, you can see your fill percentage right on the trade log. And so I trade on Slingshot a lot, and like frequently I'll have over 100% on my fill percentage, which is pretty cool. And also, once you see that you can get a better fill, like it's hard to do it. Hard to go back to kind of the old way.
Absolutely. So have you, I'm sure y'all have done some kind of comparisons with a bunch of different exchanges and all that kind of stuff. What have you seen come out of that?
Yeah. So kind of like our standard is that like, we want to not just be better than a single DEX, but we also want our price to be better than all the DEXs. And so kind of like our KPI is we take a bunch of the like the top liquid pairs, like WETH, Matic, USDC, DAI, USDT, and kind of the different markets between them. And then we just for internal use, we run that versus like $100 trades, $1,000 trades, $10,000 trades. I think $100,000 trades are on there. Don't quote me on that. I think it's those four. And so like then how that creates 80 different like test trades. And so like our last run of those, we were better priced than all of the DEX aggregators on Polygon on 85%, like 68 out of 80 of those pairs. That's like that 85% thing is like something that we're trying to hit consistently. We're hoping to make that better and better over time. But
wow, yeah, you can't argue with that, man. Those are great numbers. I remember using other exchanges previously, and you had to like figure out which route was better and kind of manually do it, and even then you didn't really get it. But trades are much easier now that I've been using Slingshot. So great work from you guys.
Yeah, how big? Out of curiosity, how big is the Slingshot team? And how closely do y'all work, like DeFi Pulse and Slingshot?
So they're separate entities, but we do collaborate on different stuff from time to time. if there's like a place we can work together, I'll be aggressive about getting the teams to cooperate. The Slingshot team, I think we're right around 10 now. Yeah, maybe just over 10 with our last hire. But yeah, it's like a pretty deep engineering team. It's led by a Ethereum kind of OG, Zach Cole, who's on the protocol side. He previously founded a protocol testing firm called White Block. It's kind of like validated a lot of these different execution environments with their testing software. And yeah, one of his favorite claims to fame is I think he's involved in like decision go to 64 shards on F2. Talked to him for about 3 minutes. He'll probably tell you about that. But I'm just messing with him. We're pretty close. He lives in Nashville with me here. But yeah.
Is there a big Nashville blockchain community?
It's not nobody. But it's not like huge either. Okay. He just kind of coincidentally moved back here from LA, and I was already here. So I don't know. We kind of like
cheaper lifestyle, huh?
Yeah,
better than There we go. Not bad.
Big capital gains tax in California.
Yeah, we wouldn't know anything about those those considerations.
Yeah, like Tennessee is a nice. It's like one of the states with like no income tax. And so it's nice for them.
So Scott, real quick question for some people who, if they're on Slingshot and they're looking around and they're trying to find their favorite token, but they can't necessarily find it. Is there something that they should be doing?
Yeah, well, Slingshot. Slingshot's actually kind of the creator of Ape Mode, which is something you should not do it if you're not experienced. It's basically in the background. Slingshot is like looking at like all pools, all tokens. And so if like you really know what you're doing and you want like a completely uncurated, zero safety environment to aggregate prices or to trade tokens, you can flip Slingshot into Ape Mode. And then basically any token that's, not like just launching or whatever, it'll be on there. You want to be really careful that you're checking the token address because like scam tokens are real things. But yeah, our backend will like pick up all that stuff automatically. And then you can trade that.
Yeah. I mean, it's freaking awesome. Like when I first saw Ape Mode, I was like, that is genius.
But yeah, like you'll be forced to agree that you're possible or likely to lose all your money if you make one mistake, and we're not going to save you.
Yes.
At all. But for people that kind of like have been doing this a while and like you understand the things you need to check and sort of the different things that can go wrong, it's nice.
Gotcha. Okay, so I kind of want to know what the day in the life of Scott Lewis is, because you've got DeFi Pulse that you've got going on, Slingshot, which both really fantastic, great projects in the DeFi space. But you also have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 other things that you're kind of dipping your hands in.
Yeah. So I say my full-time job is like a group of side projects, and sort of like on some stand-ups for some of the different projects like multiple times a week, while not like focusing all my time on any one thing. It's sort of a bit of a different lifestyle, but it also kind of has some extra advantages because I'll be sort of like plugged in a little bit different spaces. And like one thing I like to like do is recruiting. I'm sort of like always have an open position in like every skill set for like Ethereum or blockchain projects, which is kind of good. So like if anyone have good experience, hit me up. Always have jobs.
How should they hit you up? Best way.
Not Twitter.
Okay.
Probably find me in a Discord for a project. Yeah.
Perfect.
Probably find me in a Discord DM. I'm in a lot of. If you can't find me in a Discord server, you're probably not in the right servers. But
you're in the QiDao Discord server, so you can find them there.
Yeah, that would work. I mainly actually check the Telegram, I think. But yeah. I mean, I'll get DMs there for sure. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, so you were saying about recruiting. So you've got a lot of like open positions that.
So like most of the projects I'm working with have multiple open positions. So like basically at any one time, probably have a vacancy in the thing. Generally, right now, focusing on hiring like senior people with kind of experience in a project before. I not right now, but I am in the future, like looking to set up some stuff so that I can like hire junior people. It's just a lot more to like filter through, and you can't rely on the body of their work. You like have to do interviews and DD and stuff like that. But I'm hoping to get there so I can like get at that part of recruiting. So I think it's like super important. But like right now, probably more focus. Just don't have the bandwidth, so focus on senior roles. So, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. So, did you wanna kind of dive or kind of mention the other projects that you?
Yeah, there's one. There's this one called Code Arena, spelled code 4, 2, 3, and 4, like arena in lead speak. Not a hacker, but some of the people that helped us out are that. That's if you're a Solidity researcher or like Solidity engineer, and you want to like try out auditing a little bit. It's like this competitive series of like the audit lasts a week, and there's a prize pool, and the prize pool gets distributed to the Code Arena wardens at the end of not after the judging process concludes, and so projects will put in like 50K, 60K, 80K, 100K prize pools, and it's basically like competitive audit. And so if you ever wondered like, hey, like, could I be an auditor? Am I good enough? If you participate in some of these, you'll just see how you stack up versus everyone else in the contest. And then you'll also be able to kind of like read the judging reports later, and you'll see which vulnerabilities you missed, or like which ones you found, or which ones you were the only person that found, which is probably a pretty good indicator that you're doing something pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. So then how would people get involved with that? And then also, second question to that, in terms of projects that want to hop on, what's the process there of?
Yeah, so the process on both of those is just hop in the Discord server. We have one channel that's I want to be a warden. You just say I want to be a warden, and you get the code, you're the warden, or you get the badge, and then you're a warden from there on out. And then we have another channel. It's I want to be a sponsor. And so one of the differences between kind of Code Arena audits versus traditional audit, they last 1 week. You get a lot of experts looking at it versus it's like everyone can bring their specialty or what they most know about for smart contract security to bear. And so like it's not like just one or two people looking at it for the set amount of time. And it's just 1 week and it's done. And then generally the first open slot can be like 2, 3, 4 weeks only, because we don't like to schedule too far out in advance. And so kind of like the backlogs just like, shorter than kind of like some of the traditional auditing firms. Traditional auditing firms.
We've seen some of those backlogs, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. But,
what are some notable projects that might have gone through that process so far?
Some cool one. Well, Slingshot did it. We were the first guinea pig. It went pretty well. Another project I've been involved, NFTX. Their V2 had a contest done. Maple Finance is something I'm pretty excited about. They went through the process. I think Yield, which is a paradigm-backed project. They just completed their contest, and then I know Pool Together is their contest will be next week. Yeah.
Yeah, notable names then.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of fun. I mean, I've been in the hackathon space for a long time, and so I kind of know a little bit about competitive, coding competitions, and that's.
He's being humble, man. This guy's like a god for like hackathons. You should see him in action.
It's nothing like being a godfather of TVL, though. There we go.
You know, that is something that's pretty big. What to say?
I still need to get some context for event organizing from you.
Oh,
but, No, I mean, gamifying anything's just awesome.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. And but before we kind of dive deeper into like the Polygon network and kind of where you see the trends, DeFi trends happening, we've got ETH Goals asking, when Ape Mode t-shirt?
I would second that question, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I would third that question because there were Ape Mode t-shirts given out in Miami.
Oh.
And I did not get one. I was offered one that was 2 sizes too small.
Send it my way. I'm a small.
But yeah, we need more of those. Oh, they were really cool. Let me see. Yeah, they were really cool t-shirts. The same our kind of like head of marketing or CMO that does all like the videos. He also designed like the shirt, and it was awesome. But I did not get one.
Oh wait, you got
actually, they did get me a shirt though. To make fun of me. This is my Slingshot shirt from Miami. So I do a lot of my like protocol design in Excel because that's what I use for like all the time when I was a traditional finance trader. And so they like to make fun of me that I'm a Excel engineer and the top Excel engineer in DeFi.
There you go. There you go.
It's not a compliment, but
it's another
no
title.
Lau makes fun of us for all the Excel files we have on the drive. So
yeah, you can throw it on your Twitter.
That's everyone else got an Ape Mode t-shirt. I got that, but
So what I'm hearing is that soon we'll have a marketplace.
There will be more merch.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
perfect.
Hopefully we've given out some NFTs, and so no one on the team has agreed to this, and they don't even know I'm suggesting it. But I'm pretty sure we should do some sort of thing where we mail free merch to everyone with Slingshot NFTs. Sounds like a good idea, right?
What a great idea!
That sounds like
all your NFTs.
Yeah, okay.
We'll take a snippet of this and
probably
make sure.
gonna get in
we will add them
for suggesting this without talking to anyone, but whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It seems like y'all have a pretty cool culture, like team culture at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been good. Clinton, our CEO, and both Zach, like I think they're both pretty good at kind of like establishing like a good mix of like fun and work.
Mm-hmm.
And then just sort of like getting stuff done. And shipping, but without sort of like, destroying the team, which is kind of like, I don't know, not something you want for long-term success.
Yeah. Happy wife, happy life. I think that also kind of goes for developers as well. So
yeah, happy engineer, happy life.
Yeah,
right.
All right. So let's dive into Polygon. What are some cool, or I mean, maybe we can just also dive into DeFi in general and then kind of loop Polygon in here. But what are some trends that you're seeing right now in the DeFi space that really make you excited, that put a smile on your face?
I think we are, and I think Polygon's leading this because transaction fees are so low. I think we are starting to see the beginnings of like a price war for AMM LP fees. Because for the longest time, kind of Uniswap established like the 0.3% standard, and that just like stuck. And for a lot of traders on centralized exchanges, that's a lot cheaper than what they're paying. For larger traders, that's a bit more expensive. And I think you're seeing some price competition for LPs, particularly like on Polygon, Curve V2, kind of their multi-asset pool, pretty cheap. And then I think it's going to be interesting. And I think that trend will probably accelerate before it slows down. But yeah.
I mean, it's good for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for all traders.
Yeah.
And then it's also good because we probably, I think you easily get to a point where like trading on DEXs is just much cheaper than centralized exchanges. And so it used to just be so much more convenient than trading on centralized exchange and more assets. But I think if we can also dominate on cost, it's going to be a very compelling value proposition for like all of crypto.
Nice.
100%.
Okay, lovely. And so yeah, that is from a DeFi legend, a little insight in where he thinks the trends are going. Now, in terms of what challenges is the space facing that they really need to overcome in order to take that next step, or to take the next leap?
I don't know. There's always kind of the usual thing whenever there's like a new ecosystem. There's like a large mix of like authentic projects and inauthentic projects. And I think, it happens anytime when there's like sort of like the new really like revolutionary strides that are being made kind of just create copycats that look the same to less sophisticated players. And so you kind of see that cycle always repeated. DeFi's been a little bit better. I think it's filtering the inauthentic projects from the authentic projects, like maybe relative to kind of the pre-Ethereum altcoins, and maybe also relative to like the ICO boom in 2017, 2018. But kind of like keeping that like community meta level filtering process good, and like keeping it like at a sustainable rate is pretty important. I think you kind of maybe saw that filter get degraded on Binance Smart Chain. And sort of like the mix of authenticity to inauthenticity wasn't really at a sustainable level, but that kind of like can cause a resurgence in the long term, as kind of like ecosystems kind of deal with that. And so I think definitely like that quality to lack of quality ratio is going to like determine what ecosystems grow sustainably and what sort of like fizzle out, because their users just lost too much money on the inauthentic projects.
Oh, what do you look at in a project?
Like the biggest tell for projects is probably marketing. If you go to a page and it's all about how you're going to get rich, and it's not about what the hell they're actually doing, that should like set off alarm bells. There's other stuff like just because it's a fork doesn't mean it's authentic. doesn't mean it's inauthentic. Like not all forks are inauthentic. But if there's a lot of original code, that can be kind of like, that means the people that built the project put in a lot of time into it, which makes it kind of less likely you'll get rugged. Another thing I look for is like just like well thought out UX and UI decisions, because scammers are not very good at UX. And so if you're dealing with a project that has truly terrible UX and it's not original code, like on the Solidity level, and they're marketing to like your greed, probably just leave, and so I don't know. There's like just, I don't know, just kind of like doing your due diligence is pretty important.
Yeah, I got you. Very important. Ben, I know that you have a question here about which I think leads right into this. Kind of, what do you think about FUD from public?
Right.
Yes, go ahead, Ben.
My favorite guy on DeFi, man, Elon, and like all these types, right? Like they FUD like BTC, and then it trickles to Matic, and you're like, what does Matic have to do with BTC? What do you think about all these things? All these like public declarations, if you will. I think we're the 6th ban from China now.
I mean, it's sort of like all these things, like the last thing, true death is irrelevance. And so like, someone influential saying how awesome it is great. But like someone super influential, like talking about it, even if negative, isn't really that bad. Like a lot of times like communities are pretty anti-fragile as organizations. And so when you have someone that's like shaming the project or the community, a lot of times those can be like unifying. Like the reaction to that can be unifying and kind of align the community to actually accomplish better things. So like, I don't know, like the whole Elon, I was like, I'm not mad at him over that. Like, I'm kind of excited that's the topic of conversation. And it gives a lot of people that maybe it was like their 4th or 7th or 3rd favorite hobby to like, they pay more attention to it. Right. And maybe they like develop some like they get in some discussions and that kind of leads them down a rabbit hole. And so like, I think like, I don't know, it's all good in the long run, unless there's like a consensus to like ban crypto at like a
right.
level.
Hopefully not.
That's bad. But but like the controversies, like it's fine. Like definitely like some of this stuff, like read about like Internet of Beefs and like how those kind of work and how those like drive reputational or drive awareness of like concepts and people and like, I don't know, it's all cool, and most of the time all the chaos is good. But
I like that perspective. That's a really nice perspective. It's like, yeah, like we're just bringing awareness. Any publicity is good publicity at the end of the day, right? It's
getting your name out there.
Yeah, when your Uber driver is talking about Bitcoin and Doge and all that kind of stuff.
I'm pretty sure you've had some of those.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Maybe it's fun for them. I don't know. Probably not a great long-term play, but yeah, like I don't know. Is like in 2018, is people saying that like the fake stats from Tron, like people thought Tron would be like an Ethereum killer, and they were pointing to all these like spam accounts on Tron games as evidence. And it's like, did that motivate me a little bit to want to start DeFi Pulse? Yeah, probably. And I think a lot of people are kind of like that. Like if there's a problem, like you're kind of drawn to fix it. And some people are drawn to build things to fix problems. And so like someone pointing out problems, whether true, like whether they're like super serious problems or like not that serious problems, it's like motivating to get people in the community to build stuff to actually fix them. So yeah.
I like that. Now, let's get into something juicy, and we want your honest opinion, honest feedback. I know we've chatted with you before about it, but thoughts on QiDao, and then also just stable coins in general in the DeFi space.
Yeah, so I think because like obviously QiDao it's maker-ish, and so I definitely think that you can exist. There's kind of like two ways to exist. You can kind of be like kind of the cockroach going where MakerDAO is ignoring, which is like a niche. But I think one of the things that any project that starts off as a fork has to find is they have to find differentiation to create like a unique value prop for some part of the market. And I think that's there's for projects to kind of start with a completely fresh idea. They have the drawback of they don't know if anyone actually wants the thing they want to build. But for projects that are forks, you already have the validation that people want this, but you have to compete by like doing something different. And I think like if you look at like kind of all the ways that SushiSwap has attracted liquidity and volume and kind of pursued a different multi-chain strategy, you know, you're seeing them carve out unique spots in the market. And I think QiDao kind of has to pursue a similar approach. You know, for bootstrapping, it's fine to be the same as someone else, but then the roadmap has to like there has to be sort of like a vision for differentiation,
Right.
which is like a hard transition to make for any project. But you know, some do it quite well.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something we talk internally and also with our community that are great at talking with us, and some great dialogue happening on our Discord. So of how we move forward, we have a couple of cool ideas. So hopefully you guys you know, keep in tune because some pretty cool things hopefully happening soon.
Yeah, and the smaller projects, like the smaller projects do have like advantages over the large incumbents. Like they're always going to be focused on like the meat of like their market, and they're going to have to move slowly because their production standards are probably be super high. Like if you're in lending, right, the big lending protocols are looking at how to like basically bridge to like institutional money in the real economy into their protocols. There's like one thing they want. So they're going to have to move slowly so they can maintain those like high like would like Bank of America put their money in here type of standards, because that's probably where they want to they want that money in at some point.
Right.
And so you have to like reasonably bootstrap things can be more nimble, and so you have to use that like extra that advantage and how quick you are to like seize on market opportunities faster that like kind of the big ships can't adjust to.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have a cool question here from ETH Goals. I don't know if you can see. What do you think about that?
It's kind of like, is multi-chain differentiation enough? Or does it need to be more product differentiation, I think? And maybe, I don't know. I expect like I'm not sure exactly what MakerDAO's multi-chain strategy is right now. I know getting DAI out to the world is obviously important to them. But like I would say when you're small, you can do lots of experiments. And
Right.
so like it's I think a lot of times one thing that's not always apparent is how user focused and like user adaptive like small any project, but particularly bootstrap projects. And it's really like like, why, if people are using Mematic now, like, why are you using it? Like, what was your motivation to use it? Did it solve your problem exactly? Or what was your problem? And if it was solving like some of the problem, but not all of the problem, like, is there a protocol that would solve all the problem? And should that be like 2.0 or like 1.1? And so, like, what are the big potential users in the space, and what do they want? And it's a big difference between imagining what people want or building what you think would be cool to build, and actually like talking to your existing users or potential future users and really understanding those problems so you can design and build with those problems in mind. And like, it's like, I'm like, you know, I don't know what the I don't know how the value props of existing stablecoins are solving the problems for stablecoin users. I mean, I know my own usage, but you know, like, what, like, solving something perfect for like one class of users.
Yeah. There has been a lot of different noise around stablecoins in Polygon recently. I know you kind of dipped your hands in some of those as well, or kind of just done some research into those. I guess like thoughts or after this last week on where the stablecoin where the stablecoin kind of trend is heading. I know that we have one question here. Saw you were in Malt with them.
I think that's a stable quarter.
Let me see.
No comment.
Yeah, that was a rough first 24 hours for a project.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess. I mean, in terms of stablecoin and stablecoin trends, are there things that you would you would advise against, or things that stablecoin protocols should kind of keep in mind when they're pushing it out, or
I mean, it seems like zero collateralized stablecoins don't work. I would say that a lot of Ethereum projects have proven that, and probably the more projects are going to prove it in the future on different chains. But yeah, I don't know. It definitely seems like on Polygon, kind of USDC is kind of becoming the center of liquidity. And so kind of like building a value prop that's like understands that kind of USDC is turning into the Polygon Polygon shelling point is probably pretty important. But yeah, it's really just finding users that have problems and like figuring out if like QiDao can solve them, or like what problems are you having that aren't being solved by MakerDAO? Like, our Polygon native projects that have ETH in their treasury or Matic in their treasury, it probably don't want to bridge them over to Ethereum to borrow DAI, right? And so like, who are they? What do they really want? And like, how can the future versions kind of be designed to like fit very nicely? Because like, if you have like Aave's been doing like amazing on Polygon so far, but Aave's also like, they have constraints on their protocol, and like and kind of like who they want their users. Like, they're solving problems for a broad swath of users, but they're really focused on like kind of their core user groups they're trying to build for. And so that's not going, they're not going to try to build the perfect solution for everyone. Like, if I launch Scott Coin tomorrow, Aave's probably not going to list me,
Right. Yeah.
Whole
process.
Yeah, and because like if Scott coin went to zero, it might threaten the liquidity of their whole protocol or the solvency of their whole protocol, and so that's a risk they wouldn't want for their users. And so figuring out, just kind of like it's just hard work to like talk to people and figure out what solves problems.
Mhm.
Awesome. I know we've kept you beyond the time that we promised, but if you've got a few more minutes, we just we got a few questions to wrap it up, and
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, perfect. So one of these questions is, what can the community do to help Slingshot and or DeFi Pulse? Do you have an ask for them?
I mean, tell us. I mean, if you use it, tell us how Slingshot can solve your problem better. Like I mean, we're trying to build stuff, and so it's more like, like for Slingshot in particular, because it's like really Polygon focused. Like I hope it just like makes your life easier and your prices better. And if there's like something you wish it did that it didn't, like please reach out to the team and tell them. If there's like a feature that you think would be awesome, like tell us. Because like Slingshot has a very like user like focusing on like what the users need to like build the best product. And yeah, we're just trying like super hard. And yeah, just like try it. And if like it makes your life easier and better, use it. If it doesn't, tell us why.
And tell you why on Discord, Telegram, either.
Tell the Slingshot team why in Discord.
Yeah, not you. Yeah, exactly.
DM Clinton directly. Yeah. But yeah, I think we have a feedback channel, and then but yeah, you can just DM anybody on the team too.
All right, fantastic. Perfect. And then Ben, round it out.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear from you. Who do you want to hear from next in one of these QiDao chats? We have Barnbridge coming up on Wednesday.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from Michael from Curve. And specifically, like, well, one thing I'd be really interested in is like Curve V2 is like really different, really innovative. And I would just like love to learn more about how he sees like Curve mainnet versus Curve Polygon. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Yeah, I don't know. And also just like new projects that are like doing innovative things on Polygon in general. Like the design space on Polygon is much bigger because the gas cost is so much lower. You can put more logic into a transaction from like a Solidity side. And so like what I probably like just want to learn most is like how are people using that in new ways, because it's like designing for mainnet Ethereum, it has to keep like so simple, and you have a little bit less of that constraint on Polygon.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure to tag him. We'll tag you in that tweet, making sure that he answers. No, but Scott, it was lovely to have you. It's always a pleasure to chat. Again, yeah, thank you for being a great part of the community, the DeFi community. I know you're part of the QiDao community as well now. Really appreciate all your input. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. I had fun.
Awesome.
Alrighty, guys. We'll see you again on Wednesday for Barnbridge. Hopefully, Scott, you can tune into that one.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right.
See y'all soon.
There you go.